Welcome to Work Life Nation. Less stress, more success. I'm Judy Martin. I've been tracking workplace trends for well over a decade, and one of the most consistent voices on workplace flexibility has been Cali Yost. She is the CEO of Flex Strategy Group and Work Life Fit Inc. She's also a friend, a colleague. We have done some work together, but she's always been the go-to person on workplace flexibility because, for me, she's worked in companies, she's written a book, she's got it down pat, and has some great resources at her website. Well, her company just came out with the 2011 Work-Life Fit Reality Check. And in this particular study, she takes a look at workplace flexibility during the recession and the years before and after it. Some amazing stats came out of this. You might be very surprised. Take a listen to Cali.
Well, Judy, the two main takeaways that I think are the most important to highlight is the fact that work-life flexibility not only survived the recession, it actually grew. So flexibility is here to stay. It's now a foundational part of the way we live, work, and run our businesses. The other key finding is that people are much less afraid of flexibility than they were when we first did the study in 2006. In fact, the various fears and roadblocks that people cited in the 2006 study are dramatically lower. That's related to the boss will say no, people will question how hard I work. People are much more comfortable with flexibility, but now the biggest roadblock is workload and time. I think what we need to do is change our perspective around workload and time, and instead of seeing it as a roadblock to flexibility, start looking to flexibility as perhaps the solution. What I'm hearing from clients is that the workload really isn't going to go away anytime soon. So perhaps people could see ways to be more flexible in how they're working. So instead of sitting chained to their desk extra hours because they have more work, maybe they could shift their hours somewhat, or they could work from home periodically so that they can have those parts of their lives that matter, that they feel like they're not finding time for, and also be able to get the job done. Interestingly enough, we find that when people start looking at workload through a flexibility lens, oftentimes we begin to challenge whether the work we're doing is really necessary or not. And it can result in a lot of efficiencies and improved communication that actually, in the end, reduce the workload. So there can be a real win-win when we see flexibility as the solution to this new workload and time reality versus the roadblock. Flexibility really isn't a bright, shiny object that only a few people have. It's really a foundational way of running your business and the way people can run their lives. So begin to look at it. Look at how you can capture that flexibility and be strategic and target it. I think what's happening is too much of this flexibility is just kind of taking place, and nobody's really kind of put some structure around it and said, how can this achieve our business objectives? And what we heard from the respondents to the survey is some of those objectives that can have the most powerful impact are health and wellness of your employees, productivity, creativity. And these are all things that employers are saying they want to see more of. So take that flexibility and make it strategic and deliberate in your organization. Also, make sure you're training your employees to know how to come to the table with a plan. That's one of the interesting findings that the survey unearthed, is that individuals don't really feel like they can take the initiative. And considering the fact that really it's the individual that knows what they could do and their job better than perhaps any manager, you really want people to know how to come to the table with a solution that's going to be a win-win. And part of doing that is helping people see it as a strategy. Because what we also found is employees, 50% either think it's a perk or benefit, or they don't even know what it is. So you need to start talking about how, by being flexible in the way work is done, the business can benefit, and so can the individual, in a very strategic and meaningful way. This is really an everybody issue, and I think what we have to do now is say, okay, how do we get women and men comfortable with understanding how they can now use this flexibility to get the work done and have a life and be productive, be healthy, bring the best of themselves to this new work reality, which is very flexible, very nimble, and actually has a lot of opportunity within that flexibility that we need to leverage.
For more information on the 2011 Work-Life Fit Reality Check, check out worklifefit.com. You've been watching Work Life Nation. I'm Judy Martin. We'll see you next time.